Let's go through a geometry SOL test together. Reporting category 1, G1 through G4. We read through the question. They're telling us what P and Q represent, and they want us to translate this statement. So let's begin to mark it up. Start by looking at the statements and giving it a P or Q. I see we have Q first and P second, and an if-then, so we're going with A. Number 2 is a construction problem. It says Beth is drawing the perpendicular bisector of ST, so we need a 90-degree angle. What I would do with this problem is use my ruler. This ruler says it's about 14 units, so 14 divided by 2 would be 7, so I'll put a marking right here. After I mark it here, I would either take a ruler or move my ruler to see which actual dot it would go through, or I would draw a line. Now when I draw my line, I can clearly see that it goes through the point X. What students will be confused by is it touches the letter Y, but we need it to go through the point. Therefore, our selection is B. In this problem, they're checking to see if you know your angle pair relationships. Make sure we look at this keyword, not supplementary. So every angle here is acute or obtuse. So every angle is either acute or obtuse. So when we take a look here at number 1, it says 1 and 6. 1 is obtuse, 6 is acute, so they are supplementary. That's not the answer. 3 acute, 8 obtuse, that's not it. 2 acute, 7 acute, so they are not supplementary. If we check the last one, 4 and 6, obtuse and acute, they are supplementary, so which one is not? And that would definitely be 2 and 7. In this problem, watch your arcs. A construction is happening when you see the arcs. They're taking a line through a vertex through that. So this is going to be the bisection of angle D. In this section, we're going to place a star in the area that we need to select. So identify the region of the diagram that represents students who play only the flute and oboe. Only the flute and oboe. So we're only looking at the oboe and the flute. So there you have it, that little area there. If they say only, it cannot touch anything but those 2 areas. For this particular problem, students can get confused on it. However, we are looking for A and B to be parallel. So I'm going to go through and highlight only A and B. Okay. And so for the first one, A and B are the parallel lines. The blue line will be the transversal. Well, the transversal would be C in this case, but they only give me information about one angle. So this is not it. One angle on C and one angle on D, so we can't use that. The next one, we're going to look at A and B. Here's A, here's B. We need one line to represent the transversal. So if this is a transversal, I only have information about one angle, so that's not enough. We're going to take a look at B. Here is line A and here is line B. If the transversal is C, I do have information here, and these are same side exterior angles, and they should be supplementary, obtuse and acute. That is going to be my answer. Pause for a second and let's look at D. Here is A and B that are parallel. So I need a transversal to go through that. If I pick this to be the transversal, I only have information about one angle, and that's not good enough. Even if I chose the other one to be the transversal, I only have information about one angle. So that's definitely not going to be it as well. Correct answer is B. For this particular problem, when I first look at it, I see if-then and I see if-then. So I see 2 if-then statements. So when I read through it, if a quadrilateral is a rhombus, it is a parallelogram. When I read the second part, it still talks about a parallelogram. When you have a statement like that and you have 2 pieces that say the same thing, then your conclusion is going to be the first part, quadrilateral, is a rhombus. Opposite sides are congruent. Which one is that? C. This problem again, parallel lines. So M, N, P, and Q are parallel, so I could actually extend it. So what is the transversal? Here is the transversal right here. So when I look at it, I can see that this angle here is acute. The one right next to it is obtuse. But what is X? It is acute, so it is C. When I put this in the distance formula, I get the distance is equal to the square root of 353. When you get confused with the square roots, you definitely can change them to decimals if you like, but you don't have to. My key word in this problem is parallel. So if it's going to be parallel, these slopes are going to be the same. For this particular problem, I would definitely get my ruler out and I'll put my ruler right on top of the line. And then I would slide it down to the point here, and I would find another point that it goes through. So if I put it on this line, I can see, I'm gonna put it in red, it goes through this point right here. There's a point right here. So many points. So this particular point here would be 2, -5. You would have to take the bubble that they give you and slide it over to click on the actual coordinate. But there's more than one answer. What's best to describe this picture right here? Well, when I take a look at it, I see a line, I see some arcs, but I do see a P, a point that's not on the line. So let's take a look. This P is not on the line. So when I stretch out my compass, the first thing that I'm doing is marking off the line, and then I'll go to the line, and the last thing I'll do is mark below. So when I read through my choices, it's definitely not the bisect of a line. It's not in the middle. We don't see two segments that we're making congruent from one another. Perpendicular to a line, a point that's on the line. There's no point on the line. Perpendicular to a given line from a point that is not on the line. Correct answer is D. This particular problem, I definitely look at my vocab, inverse, and I'll have to think about what inverse is. It's when you insert knots. So I'm going to keep my P and Q, but I'm going to add the word knot. So if the measure of an angle is 90, then it is a right angle. I'm just going to write knot above and knot above, and let's see what we get. 13 is A. For this particular one, when we read through, it says it's reflected across the line. Y is equal to X. So basically, this means we're just going to switch. We're going to switch our X and our Y. So when I look at V, V is located at 3, -8, 3, -8. So if I switch my Y and my X, then what is V? You got it. Then V prime is -8 and 3, which is D. Okay, lines R and S are cut by transversal. So they want to know which value would prove they are parallel. So we have R and S. Let's take a look at our transversal here. So let's determine if the angles given are acute or obtuse. So they are both obtuse. So now that we know they are obtuse and alternate exterior, we set them equal to each other. We solve for X and we find out that X is 43. You could always go back and plug it in to make sure it works, but then you would go ahead and type X is equal to 43. This problem is slope. So with slope, we want to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or rise over run. Put it in the formula and let's see what we get. So we get -4 over -8. A negative over negative is a positive, so that's 4 over 8. And once we simplify this, we get 1 over 2. So the slope is 1/2. So for this particular problem, they want to know When is x equal -1 and y equals -2, a line of symmetry. So let's talk about this. X equals -1 is going to be a line that goes up and down. Y equals -2 is going to be a line that goes straight across. So let's find all our x equals -1s and we'll put it in blue. All right, so I put in blue all my x equal -1, which are vertical lines that go up and down. When I look at that, it's definitely not a line of symmetry for D. So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate D. What else is it not a line of symmetry for, do you think? Well, I don't think it's in the middle of B, so I'm going to eliminate B. Next, in red, I'm going to put in all my y equal -2 lines. So once I put in my x equals y equals -2, the one that it splits it and makes it a reflection over that line is going to be C. Here I have parallel lines cut by transversal. And so I want to go in and write in everything I know. This is 90. So this is 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. These two angles here are 65 because they're right next to each other, so they're supplementary. I have my next set of angles in, the 115, they're corresponding. And my same side interior angles should add up to 180, so I just wrote 65 right here. So now let me read the question. It says, what's the measure of C to B to A? So the concentration is on B. So if I leave C and go to B and then go to A, then I'm talking about this very obtuse angle here, which is made up of 90 plus 65. Correct answer is D. This concludes reporting category 1, which is G1 through 4. Hopefully it was helpful.